Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Hope you're doing well. Let us continue our wonderful reading of Shakespeare's Gias Julius Caesar. I'm a big fan of Shakespeare. I took a class on Shakespeare, got an A. Really enjoy his writing and the level of English it requires to understand it. So, at this point in the play, we're in Act 3, Scene 1. Caesar's been taken out, and now there is a dialogue of Brutus and Cassius. Alright, so let us continue there. Go ahead and listen to this as you're relaxing, washing the dishes, pruning your garden, whatever fun thing it is that you're doing. Brutus. Soft! Who comes here? A friend of Antony's. Servant. Thus Brutus did my master bid me kneel. Thus did Mark Antony bid me fall down. And being prostrate, thus he bade me say, Brutus is noble, wise, valiant, and honest. Caesar was mighty, bold, royal, and loving. Say I love Brutus, and I honor him. Say I feared Caesar, honored him, and loved him. And Brutus will vouchsafe that Antony may safely come to him, and be resolved. How Caesar hath deserved to lie. How Caesar hath deserved to. The ink is really light. Oh, so I was right, yeah. How Caesar hath deserved to lie in death. Mark Antony shall not love Caesar dead so well as Brutus living, but will follow the fortunes and affairs of noble Brutus, thorough the hazards of the untrod state, with all true faith, so says my master Antony. So he's really helping Antony to be like, hey, Antony I should say, can I come to you safely, or are you gonna trap me as you did Caesar? Must have been terrifying that your comrade was your statesman shanked like a porker. Servant, I'll fetch him presently. Exit. Brutus, thy master is a wise and valiant Roman. I never thought him worse. Tell him, so please him come unto this place, he shall be satisfied. And by my honor, depart untouched. So depart untouched, vouching for his safety. Cassius, I wish we may, but yet have I a mind that fears him much, and my misgivings still fall shrewdly to the purpose. Brutus. But here comes Antony. Re-enter Antony. Welcome, Mark Antony. Antony. O mighty Caesar, dost thou lie so low? Are all thy conquests, glories, triumphs, spoils shrunk to this little measure? Fare thee well. I know not, gentlemen, what you intend. Who else must be let blood? Who else is rank, if I myself there is no hour so fit as Caesar's death's hour, nor no instrument or hath that worth as your swords made rich with the most noble blood of this world? I do beseech ye, if you bear me hard, now with your purpled hand do reek and smoke, fulfill your pleasure, live 1,000 years, I shall not find myself so apt to die. No place will please me so, no mean of death, as here by Caesar and by you cut off. The choice and master spirits of this age. Brutus. O Antony, beg not your death of us, though now we may appear bloody and cruel, as by our hands in this our present act. You see we do yet see you, but our hands in this the bleeding business they have done. Our hearts you see not, They are pitiful, and pity to the general wrong of Rome. As fire drives out fire, so pity hath done this deed on Caesar. For your part, to you our swords have leaden points, Mark Antony, our arms in strength of malice, and our hearts a brother's temper do receive you in, with all kind love, good thoughts, and reverence. Cassius, your voice shall be as strong as any man's in the disposing of new dignities. Disposing of new dignities, so that sounds like they're trying to give a little quid pro quo, trying to let them know, accept what happened to Caesar, don't retaliate, we will let you be a legislator or maintain your lands and whatnot, because remember, there's a power play here, right? Antony just saw Caesar let down, and as you notice, he tells Caesar, fare thee well, and his triumph spoils shrunk to little measure, so they still butchered him worse than a goat publicly, like just on the Senate floor. They all took a turn after everything he did for Rome, all the triumphs, all the battles, all the things he survived in Gaul. They still were not pleased enough with his vision for Rome. Brutus, only be patient till we have appeased the multitude, beside themselves with fear, and then we will deliver you the cause. Why, I that did love Caesar when I struck him, have thus proceeded. Notice that. How can you love Caesar when you literally put a dagger in him? Talk about epic gaslighting. Like, no, you couldn't have. You chose the worst way to do it. Worst way. It's even said that Caesar helped fund part of Brutus's education. Notice. You help someone, and then they repay you with treachery. Antony, I doubt not of your wisdom. Let each man render me his bloody hand. First, Marcus Brutus, will I shake with you? Next, Caius Cassius, do I take your hand? Now, Decius Brutus, yours. Now, yours, Metellus. Yours, Cinna, and my valiant Casca. Yours, though last, not least in love. Yours, good Trebonius. Gentlemen, all, alas, what shall I say? My credit now stands on such slippery ground, that one of two bad ways you must conceit me, either a coward or a flatterer. That I did love thee, Caesar, oh, 'tis true. If then thy spirit look upon us now, shall it not grieve thee dearer than thy death, to see thy Antony making his peace, shaking the bloody fingers of thy foes, most noble in the presence of thy corpse? Had I as many eyes as thou hast wounds, weeping as fast as they stream forth thy blood, it would become me better then to close in terms of friendship with thine enemies. So notice here, he really has named them, like, should I shake your hand? He doesn't doubt Brutus's wisdom in the action that he did, but it's not just the wisdom of political strategy, but the fact that you betray loyalty, right? Loyalty to Rome, loyalty to your friend, loyalty to the law. And then he had more loyalty to his plot and those who plotted. Now, notice when he says here, my credit now stands on such slippery ground. So, Antony, the reputation. Is Antony going to use his warrior side and make an example out of these treacherous foes? Is he going to seek allies? What's he going to do? Is he going to play the statesman? the people would be looking to Mark Antony quite literally on what's the plot, what's the game, what's the strategy, what's going to happen, what's Antony going to do. Is he going to wait? Is he going to do it now? Will he flatter just to escape? What is he going to do? Now, when he mentions here either a coward or a flatterer, that's a very potent thing to say, because cowardly in terms of not taking out his dagger and, going out the way Caesar did, or to flatter so that he can escape with not his tail between his legs, but to get out of the situation. Some will see him as a flatterer to appease the butchers, or a coward for not going down in glory. So he's put in quite a predicament here. Quite a predicament. He did not expect that. And when he mentions in the presence of the corpse, so Caesar's body's there, Antony's there, and he's talking to them, right? And he's like, if Caesar could see Antony touching those bloody fingers of the people who took his life, he would weep. So that is a very potent scene, because what Shakespeare has done for us is to really give us a glimpse into maybe what it really would have been like for Mark Antony to have to look at the face of those. His speech continues. In terms of friendship with thine enemies, pardon me, Julius, here wast thou bade, brave heart. Here didst thou fall, and here thy hunters stand. Thy hunters stand, signed in thy spoil, and crimsoned in thy death. O world, thou wast the forest to this heart. And this indeed, O world, thy heart of thee, how like a deer strucken by many princes. Dost thou here lie? Cassius. Mark Antony. Pardon me, Cassius. The enemies of Caesar shall say this. Then in a friend it is cold modesty. Cassius. I blame you not for praising Caesar so, but what compact mean you to have with us? Will you be pricked in number of our friends, or shall we on and not depend on you? Antony. Therefore I took your hands, but was indeed swayed from the point by looking down on Caesar. Friends am I with you all, and love you all, upon this hope that you shall give me reasons why and wherein Caesar was dangerous. So notice this, saying, love you all, and give me reasons why wherein Caesar was dangerous. So, strategy. Tell me why you did this why did you think he was so dangerous that you had to do this to one of the politicians of Rome? Why did you do this? Remember, Rome has a history of political violence. The elites taking each other out. Sulla, right? Who came before Caesar, who knew Caesar. We've covered in some videos I have done on the history of ancient Rome. It's pretty bloody. Rome was pretty ruthless. People kind of forget that. And America has modeled itself off of a lot of Roman principles concerning a republic. The founding fathers studied ancient Rome heavily when thinking about the Bill of Rights and Constitution. They had great libraries and were very well-read men. So their checks and balances on our system was supposed to be a reflection of what can stem off the fall of Rome and whatnot. But it didn't really work because nobody paid attention to the piece of paper. So here, Antony cleverly saying, give me some reasons. It's like making them kind of not feel like they're in danger as well. Because Cassius doesn't blame him for praising Caesar, but he wants to know what kind of deal you're looking for. But notice how Antony said, "Here thy hunters stand." Hunters, not avengers of the Republic. He didn't use a heroic terminology for those conspirators. Very key. Crimson in thy death. That crimson is my favorite color, maroon burgundy. But they're crimson because of the blood of Caesar. So he's really highlighting here Shakespeare for us. This scene that we can imagine, it's just bloody. Which obviously it would have been. Right? We're not talking like a paper cut or a nosebleed here. Alright? They hit main arteries when it came to Caesar. Right? Over and over. Like, poor man. Painful way to go. And humiliating. Humiliating. Brutus. Or else, were this a savage spectacle? Our reasons are so full of good regard that were you Antony the son of Caesar, you should be satisfied. Now notice what he just said here. He's contending, Brutus, that they did such a savage spectacle. When something's a spectacle, it's like, whoa, it takes you aback. It's like excessive, large, right? And he's saying, even if you were the son of Caesar, you would agree with us. That's how convinced we are of our reasoning. That's a bold statement. Think about it. If a son had to hear what the butchers of his father had to say about why they killed his dad, them coming up with an argument that would convince the son to be like, yeah, I guess you should have done that to my dad. And not only that your dad was going to give you a massive amount of inheritance, that your father was a respected man, had enemies, but still respected, a conqueror, somebody of a noble status. So for someone to turn against their father, while their father is someone who can benefit them greatly, tells you a lot. Tells you so much. It's just quite revealing what has been put forth for us so extensively in this section of the reading. It's the aftermath, and you can feel it, and Shakespeare has done us a great service in trying to imagine theatrically about what that dialogue would have been like between Antony and those who took out such an important political figure. And what were they thinking, right? Because remember, Antony has access to the legions, all right? There are people who contend, those who studied ancient Rome. What would have happened, when Pompey was going against Caesar, they called it, a civil war. It really split the nation. When Cato and all those people first divided, caused a pretty big problem. I mean, the poor Roman people, they had to deal with a lot of political violence and strife. Now Caesar's gone, people would have been shocked at this time. So many waiting on what's going to be the drill here. We're going with Antony. Is he going to try to seize power? Is he going to do a coup? Will the conspirators win? Who's right? Cicero's still alive at this time, so it's intense. But I like the writing of Mark Antony here, his dialogue, his mode of thought, because you see a glimpse of friendship, of sadness, of strategy, political strategy to survive. Someone who's trying to figure out what their move is in real time. You can put yourself in Antony's shoes and you could be like, yeah, sure, I'm gonna go and guns blazing. But you don't want to be a coward. It's all perception. Will they think that he's the tiger who's lost his teeth, or a tiger that earns his stripes? It's like there's a bluffing going on. It's very interesting because at this time, Antony could go back to his, villa, go to sleep, and they could just send some rogues in, get him while he's asleep. Very tense time. Let me know what you think. I do love Shakespeare. It's perfect. Remember, Act 3, Scene 1. Alright? By the way, if you'd like to join my blog, it's www.subscribestar.com/MilahanArchive. Hope to see you there.